Welcome to the session about the GDS-Index 2024 results. Very excited to have you all here. So here we go. Great. So really we're here and, I guess some of you have seen the results, but this is really a chance to share some of the results again and really celebrate the results and the winners and all the destinations that have participated in the index, as well as our GDS award winners. So we're going to really provide an overview of that. My name is Janie Neumann. I will be your host for today for the session. I'm the relationship manager at the GDS movement for the UK, Ireland, Germany, and Austria. And I'm also kind of the destination climate action expert. So, but really exciting to kind of have you all here. And I know met many of you before, and especially some of you at the forum just a few weeks ago. So thank you so much for joining us. And I'm also joined by my colleague Inge and some other colleagues on the call, and Bettina from Copenhagen. So we will hear from a few people today. So great. So the agenda. So first we'll do a quick update on the GDS-Forum. So as many of you know, that if either you were there or you heard about it, that took place a couple of weeks ago. Then we will have a closer look at the GDS index results and kind of some of the really where the destinations, what regions, what city size, looking at kind of some of the results there, but also at the trends, some of the high level trends we've seen come out. Then we will take a closer look at all of our awards. So we have the Innovation Award, Most Improved Destination, Impact Award, and the Leadership Award. So these are the kind of key things we want to cover today. Just a little bit of housekeeping. The session is recorded as usual, so we'll get a copy if you wanted to share it with anybody else later. That would be great. If you can, select speaker view in Zoom. If you have any questions, thoughts, if you just want to say hi, stick it in the chat box and say where you're from. That would also be great to kind of get a sense where everybody's from. Do raise a hand or signal to the moderator if you want to say something. We will have a little bit of a session at the end if there are any questions, thoughts, comments that you want to raise. And if you want to acknowledge any great work, show a thumbs up or give us a little clap. So that's great. Right, let's kick this off. So the GDS-Forum, just a kind of brief summary on what the forum brought. And again, this was a couple of weeks ago in Bruges, in connection, obviously, with our partners, the City DMA, who had their autumn conference just following on from the forum, and also from Visit Bruges. So it was a great success, dare I say, and I hope many of you who might have attended would also kind of consider that, again, we've really built on the first forum last year to have our second GDS-Forum this year. And the theme there combined for the forum and the City DNA conference was letting pigs fly. So, and I found out doing this that in different languages, it's different things. Donkeys can fly and all sorts of other things can fly. But really, again, this idea that we wanted to see if we can kind of uncover some unconventional ideas that we can make what seems like impossible possible. So the first day actually was the Impact Day on the Monday, and it was a kind of one-day event or conference to really look at closer redefining that role of business event sector to drive societal and environmental transformation and impact. And this one was presented in partnership with Visit Flanders and Meet for Impact. And throughout the day, the Impact really wanted to address what does that future for conferencing and business events looks like? Is it just that long-term success really relies on a more resilient business model and something that has that positive impact on the destination and on those goals, and not just has more bums and beds and things like that. It was really exciting to see that Gemke de Jong from Visit Flanders could introduce their kind of new impact methodology, where they're kind of looking to shift from more business events, more people, more attendees to better conferences and taking into account that kind of positive long-term knock-on effect. So it was really great to bring people together there and see the great work that Visit Flanders has been doing and working closely with Meet for Impact over the last few years and sharing ideas. So that was the Impact Day on Monday. And then we moved on to the GDS-Forum, which is an intense and inspiring GDS Forum with around 120 DMO and industry leaders and partners from around 26 countries. So it was a really great representation from all over the world. And the first day we were at the beautiful Zwin Nature Reserve, and as kind of our backdrop to share ideas and challenges to tear little paper pigs. You had to be there, but that was really interesting. And really to share also some flying pig examples from some of the destinations that were there. You know, what have they managed to achieve and get off the ground, so to speak. But we also really wanted to build on last year's forum, because last year we started the first forum to kind of develop some ideas. So a key element of this year's forum was, again, to work on developing 14 flying piglet ideas for projects that could have a transformational impact and accelerate that journey to a more regenerative tourism. So we were working on ideas that were ambitious and probably hard, but also needed to be clear, actionable, and feasible. So not always easy to combine, but these ideas covered things like mobility, diversity, equity, and inclusion, climate action, innovation. So it was really great to come together in groups and draw on all the knowledge in the room and thoughts and experiences to develop some of these ideas. And we will be reviewing the ideas to kind of see what the best way would be to take some of them forward. We'll share them with you and kind of get some opportunity to get your input and also get involved and see if we can give those little pigs wings. So just in case you're wondering, there was also a very competitive rock, paper, scissors battle going on, just in case you're wondering what some of those people in the pictures are doing. So all fun and games, which is very important. The fun, games, and joy, right? So this was all wrapped up at the end of a few busy days with the GDS Awards. The forum concluded, which is a wonderful event in a stunning setting and perfectly suited to announce the top 40 of the 2024 GDS Index and all the results, as well as the GDS Award winners. And all of which kind of we'll be hearing about more in the session today. So this was also the official handover to our partners at City DNA to start their conference, where they really continue to look at all sorts of different ways pigs have flown or could be made to fly. So there was no shortage of pig puns and analogies, and it was really great to also get all that kind of content over the next few days from the City DNA session. So, but before we hear more about the award winners, and that's really exciting, we want to take a closer look at the results of the GDS Index for 2024. And dare I say, there are absolutely no flying pigs to see here, but it's really the result of a hard work, dedication, collaboration across a wide range of partners in all of the participating destinations. Speaking to some of you, I can imagine that it might have felt that you're trying to get a pig to fly while you're completing the index, that it was you know, a great opportunity to participate, but also a lot of hard work. So that really needs to be acknowledged. We are really excited this year that we again have around 100 destinations participating in the index from all over the world. So we had 10 new destinations this year after we had over 40 new destinations last year. So a lot of destinations continued with the index. So that was really great to see that we're kind of growing the scope as well of destinations that are participating. As many of you know, but just in case some of you have joined us today that aren't so familiar with the index, the index is we really see as a benchmarking and performance improvement tool. And for 2024, it incorporates 77 qualitative and quantitative criteria across like these 4 key categories: environmental and social, which generally focus more on the work happening broadly in the city and the destination, but also the supplier and destination management categories, which looks more closely at the tourism and events specific activity. And the index this year, all the updates that have happened, but as always, has been co-created by destinations for destinations. So we have a technical advisory committee that we work very closely with on any changes and how the index develops to make sure it's aligned with what the destinations are looking for. And we have also got specialists that advise us on making sure we keep in line with trends and new things, that challenges that come our way. And it's very much informed and aligned with the UN SDGs and the Global Sustainable Tourism Council destination criteria. So just briefly talking about changes, I guess as many of you have participated will be aware of, but every year we review the criteria to really see where can we make improvements and support the destinations, as well as make sure that we incorporate the feedback that we get and ask you for every year, but also really make sure that how can we drive continuous improvement in destinations and make sure that we're still addressing some of the key trends and challenges facing our sector and our places. So in some years there are fewer changes, but for the 2024 GDS Index, we have made some more significant changes, really introducing 12 new criteria and making more significant changes to around 20 plus other criteria. So this has meant that for all destinations participating this year, whether it's the top 10 or everybody else along of those 100, there have been some new questions to explore, to establish what the destination's doing, who has that information, be that on climate change, on DEI, short-term tourism rentals, visitor management, and other topics. And I'm sure as challenging as it was for everyone involved, we do believe and hope that overall it has provided a great opportunity for every one of our destinations to continue to challenge themselves, but also to kind of explore some new areas and to get even better over the next few years. So thank you all for participating, for all your work that you have put in this year. So the index, how does it break down? So this year, as always, we have a mix of different sizes of cities. So of the 100 cities, you can see there's large cities, medium cities, small cities, so quite a range there. And again, increasingly, very much a global piece. So obviously in Europe, but also a growing amount in North America, in Central and Southern Europe, and in Asia Pacific. So it's really fabulous to see more and more destinations all over the world participating in this. And as we always like to say, for us, the benchmarking and the comparison and who's higher up in the ranking is a great kind of motivator, but ultimately we see the GDS Index as an improvement tool for every single destination to see where they're at, what they can do to collaborate and how they can get better. So this is like one of the most important slides in a way for us, that we can see that that's happening and that the index is driving improvement. I say that, and you can see a drop in the overall score in the top 10, but that is very much down to all the new criteria and some of the new challenges for the destination. So that was wholly expected that people weren't scoring as highly, but we've definitely given everybody a bit more room for improvement there. But overall, we definitely see that improvement throughout the 9 years that we've been doing this for all destinations. So the top 40, here are the top 40 destinations of the 2024 GDS Index. And congratulations to all again. And as you can see, we have quite notable changes overall from last year to this year, particularly in the top 10, where Helsinki has taken the top spot from Gothenburg after 7 years that Katarina and the whole team in Gothenburg have been leading the index and sharing. So we'll be hearing more from Jukka in Helsinki on that leadership award. But we've also seen destinations from Asia Pacific, like Sydney and Singapore, joining the top 10, which is another great sign that it's really everybody across the globe is improving. And there's, as I know, there's quite a few destinations from North America on the call. A special shout out to Canada, who has now 3 destinations in the top 40, Victoria, Montreal, and Quebec City. So well done. And still a large number of destinations across Canada participating. Also, all 6 participating destinations from Ireland have made it into the top 40 this year. So, but well done to all. Very briefly, that's the top 40, but you have as a participating destination in Omni, but it's also, we can slice and dice this in different ways, right? And which might be more meaningful to some, or just give you a different angle. So here, for example, we can look at the top destinations in each of the regions. So kind of zoom into what are the destinations in Asia Pacific doing, in North America, in Northern Europe, right? Because different might have all different starting points. We can also look at by city size, which a lot of destinations might find useful rather than comparing Kerry to Bangkok to kind of look at where am I at compared to other small cities, large cities, or metropolis. So well done again to all of these, and this might give every destination a slightly different perspective on where they're at and how they're doing. And last but not least, again, the different categories I mentioned earlier, it's also possible to take a look at those. Again, we can see that a lot of the Nordic destinations and kind of the top 10 are doing very well individually in all the categories. But we can see there are some differences in destination management, for example, where a couple of French destinations are in the top, and Goyang as well. And I have to say, shout out to Glasgow for the great performance in the supplier section, because I happen to know that that was a bit of a labor of love and a challenging journey to get there. So, but I know this is the case for everybody, especially in the supplier section. So well done. So that gives you kind of the stats overall. And so we just quickly wanted to share some really high level insights on what we've seen on that kind of first pass on some key topics. So climate. So as it says here, when it rains, it pours. And we did introduce quite a few new climate criteria this year to really delve a bit deeper beyond what is the city doing on climate action, but also how is the sector as a whole being engaged, what is the DMO doing as an organization, and how are businesses being supported, the suppliers. But here are some results. So we can see that as a whole, cities are definitely quite ambitious, at least the participating cities, with 74 out of 100 of them setting carbon reduction targets for over 50% for 2030. So that's going beyond, I guess, the requirements for the Paris Agreement. And a lot of them, the average progress, which is the first time we asked, so that's great, you have an ambitious target, but where are you at? So they've made progress around to 40%. They're 40% of the way there. So there's still quite a bit to do in the next 4 years, 5 years. So that's definitely something that all destinations and cities will need to focus on. Interestingly, like I said, it's the first time we asked about what's happening at sector level. So only 20% of the participating destinations have a climate action plan in place for tourism and events sector. So really looking at, that's great, my city's trying to achieve this, but how is our sector going to achieve net zero by 2050? And how can we support our city's targets? So there's definitely room for improvement to say, how can tourism and events be part of this solution? And how can we create a very specific, actionable action plan and strategy for that? And we're really excited to be working with a lot more of the destinations on that, and we have a climate action masterclass that we can help destinations with that. But yeah, it's interesting that that's an area that I think there's a bit more support needed, and also a sense of, is this something we own and something we can do something about? And definitely destinations can. So certification. So again, we see across the board an increase in certification levels for the different suppliers, the different categories, especially for hotels and venues. So you can see there, they've jumped by 10% or more, which is great to see. But this definitely seems to be an increased interest in certification, especially with the European countries, but also everybody else will be affected by the upcoming European legislation around the need for companies to substantiate their green claims. So I do think we will, much needs to be clarified in this area, exactly what will be the requirements and where's this going over the next couple of years. But we do expect those numbers to continue to rise. Another trend we were looking at is visitor management. So we've seen this year unbalanced tourism, not to say over tourism, in some destinations has definitely become an issue again, with much travel back to or over pre-pandemic levels. And we've all seen it in the news, you know, that a lot of locals and residents aren't always happy about all that tourism coming back. So I think quite timely, this year we included new questions around what destinations are doing for visitor management in the destination, but also to regulate short-term holiday lets and to make sure you support affordable housing for residents. So we can see that 83% of destinations measure visitor flows when they're coming, how long they're staying, those kinds of things. But a relatively small proportion have taken it to a next step to see what can our destination actually take? What's the social caring capacity? At what point is it a bit too much for residents, or our environmental caring capacity? But interestingly, quite a lot of destinations in the index have regulations for short-term tourism rentals. So that's definitely something where the city is increasingly kind of legislating for or against. Communication storytelling continues to be an important part of engaging partners, businesses, visitors, and if not more important than ever to make our case that we need to bring everybody along on our journey at pace and scale required, right? So interestingly, there's still close to 40% of the participating destinations that don't include sustainability in a report or share anything about their efforts. So everybody has lots to shout about. So we would definitely encourage every destination to do that. And last, and a really important aspect we do ask destination about is whether their sustainability strategies have clear objectives to make positive social, environmental, and economic impact. And are these objectives underpinned with indicators? Like, can we measure progress? Do we know we're making progress? And we appreciate it's not always easy at destination level, but it's really great to see here that over the last 4 years, that destinations have made huge progress in setting clear objectives and also indicators to measure that positive impact. So that's really something interesting to see, and I think we will see more of, as well as there's a certain clarity in what kind of indicators destinations can use. So if you're interested in finding more about the GDS index results and some of these trends, I think Julia will post a link in the chat to the report you can download. And we're also very excited to be working with the University of Exeter and their Sustainable Tourism Program Director, who will be doing a bit of an in-depth analysis of the results. And so we'll take more of a deep dive and bring out some more insights and trends and see what we can find out from all the information everybody submitted, and we will share those in additional reports early next year. So again, congratulations to all of the destinations, be it top 10, top 40, the whole gamut. Everybody has done a lot of hard work, and you're just participating is absolutely great. So now we want to take a closer look at the GDS Award winners for 2024. So first off, the Innovation Award. The Innovation Award recognizes really and showcases destinations and their kind of creative ideas and projects and any initiatives they have to accelerate sustainability or bring sustainability to life, and ideally something that can be scaled and adapted by other destinations. So this award called for applications from indexing destinations, and the final winner is determined by our 2024 panel of judges, including Shelby from Washington, D.C., who was last year's Innovation Award winner. So thank you very much to all of our judges. The finalists. With a great range of projects all the destinations developed. And again, a big shout out to our Canadian friends. The finalists for this year's award were Victoria with their affordable housing project for hotel and hospitality employees, Vancouver with their social procurement for tourism and hospitality and events, Toronto with their Relax, Recharge, Renew program, Oslo looking at what they're developing a winter destination network, and Copenhagen with their Copenpay program. So it's not really a big drum roll because everybody knows who's won, but I'm still happy to announce that the winner for the Innovation Award is Wonderful Copenhagen for its Copenpay initiative. which was really designed to influence visitors to act more sustainably by rewarding them with for their climate-friendly actions while in Copenhagen. So unfortunately, nobody from wonderful Copenhagen from that team could be with us today, and they do send their apologies, but they have provided us with lots of useful information on this project. We'll kick it off with a quick video, which gives you an overview, and then I'll hand over to Inge, my colleague who works closely with Copenhagen and the other Nordic destinations, to give you a little bit more insight on. Right, let's see. Fingers crossed.
Copenhagen aspires to be more than just the capital of Denmark. It aims to become the capital of sustainable tourism. Most of the city's electricity comes from renewable energy sources. And the people in Copenhagen bike, swim in the canals, and drink tap water instead of bottled water. Now Copenhagen attractions promote green actions by introducing CopenPay. The model is simple. Copenhagen attractions reward climate-friendly actions. For instance, arriving by bike can earn you a trip down Copenhagen's famous ski slope. Cycling to the National Museum earns your family a treat.
Are you a part of CopenPay?
Sure. Work on an urban farm and get a free vegetarian lunch. Or if you help keep the water in the canals clean, you can get the kayak tour for free. Copenhagen is introducing CopenPay as a pilot project where a wide range of attractions reward tourists with CopenPay. The hope is not only for people to increase green actions in Copenhagen, but to inspire more green actions worldwide.
Great, well, congratulations to Copenhagen. What a great initiative. Inge, do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, I have a bit of insights, and actually Copenhagen have worked on this for a long time, and already 2 years ago they did a big manifesto where they wanted the tourists that visit the city to come back to their hometown with a more sustainable behavior. So how do you do that? Well, obviously this pilot project CopenPay, which stands for Copenhagen Attractions for Climate-Friendly Action, it's aligned with the vision of wonderful Copenhagen. Tourism should make the world a better destination. And one of the goals is tourism in Copenhagen should accelerate the green transition locally and globally. So the aim of the project is to make tourism part of the solution, be a positive force for change and not an environmental burden. What Copenhagen had seen was that 4 out of 5, they actually want to act sustainable, but only 1 changed behavior. So this gap is actually CopenPay. It's a 4-week pilot project over the summer, inspired for a greener mindset and behavior amongst travelers, but also among the locals. That's very important for Copenhagen. But also raise awareness of Copenhagen as a sustainable destination. So your work is actually your currency. So if you ride by bike, you might get a free breakfast, you might get a free lunch if you work a couple of hours in an urban garden. It's been such a huge success. You probably all heard about it. There's been 26 partners involved in the project. More wants to join. It's been a success. Everybody says that it's been fantastic. Also the locals. 98% recommend this experience. There's been 5,000 participants. But also on the other side, there's been 76,000 visitors to the CopenPay website. I think explanations were needed. When I first saw it, I was thinking, oh my God, can I get a free lunch by riding my bike? Yes, there's a bit more involved, as you saw earlier. There's been a 29% increase in public transport over the period. So it's very, very measurable what has happened. And what is actually even more exciting is that there's a 0.20 initiative coming up. More partners want to join. Everybody's really, really happy. But what's also very important, and that is probably why, I don't know exactly the reason why they won, but it's very, very easily copyable, and it can be replicated everywhere. Already I've seen Polish destination that's taking this and made it their own. So yeah, it's out there for your inspiration, and well done, Copenhagen. 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 It almost sounds too easy, and it's sort of like, why haven't somebody done this before? But fantastic and well done, and congratulations on it.
Great, thank you, Inge. Yes, it seems quite simple, although I'm sure it took quite a bit to organize, and the team did manage to present on it at the forum a couple of weeks ago, and I know there was a lot of interest for, like you said, the replicability and kind of how did it work. What fascinated me, and I'm sure in a way that kind of even increases the achievement rather than decreases it, that the team was saying they kind of came up with the idea 6 weeks before they launched. So it was something like, should we do this? Okay, let's do this. So for that, you know, sometimes let those pigs fly. If you have I mean, this is the perfect example, right? If you have some of these big ideas and you think, is this going to work? I don't know. Let's do a pilot project. And it probably worked much better than many of them expected. Guy, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, or Bettina, you can maybe jump in here. Is it designed as a kind of open source program for others to emulate, or is it just, you know, that's not the concept, just as in a good idea, people will copy it anyway? And what is the kind of this view of repeating it? What's the kind of plan on scaling it and repeating it in the future?
Can jump in and just you know, very simply about the open source. I don't know what the sort of longer term plan is, as was mentioned in the beginning of this presentation. This is a pilot project, and it's being evaluated and assessed at the moment. We know that there are a lot of attractions who really want us to do this again. Obviously, I mean, there was an absolutely overwhelmingly interest from international media as well. So I'm absolutely certain, of course, that we will move forward with the 2.0, but what that will look like is difficult for me to say just at this moment. But the minute we know, we will be out there and sharing with you.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's amazing. Well done to the team, eh?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. Yes, well done, Copenhagen. Great. So let's move on to our next award, the Most Improved Destination Award. And that one goes to destinations that really has made the greatest increases in its GDS index score from the previous year. So this is independent of the ranking it's achieved, but really the score is overall kind of shows how many more questions were answered and kind of all the work that was put in. So, and often it's destinations in their first few years that have kind of started out. And our finalists this year were again a great range from different places of the globe participating in the index. So we had Gdansk in Poland, Kumamoto in Japan, Solihull in the United Kingdom, Takamatsu in Japan, and Tucson in the USA, all of them making some great improvements of well over 10% in their overall score. But the Most Improved Destination Award goes to Kumamoto. And they have overall increased by almost 19% in their overall score, which is a 42% increase on last year. So absolutely well done to Kumamoto. You know, it shows a lot of effort put into the GDS index submission and collaborating with their partners locally. So we have a very quick message from the mayor in Kumamoto to share with you on what they're doing and sending their thanks. Here we go.
Hello everyone, my name is Onishi, Mayor of Kumamoto City. I stand before you today with pride and gratitude to receive the GDS Movement Most Improved Destination Award on behalf of Kumamoto City. Allow me to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who made this possible. Kumamoto City is a world-class groundwater city known as the City of Water, and provide 100% of its tap water through groundwater. We are undertaking the difficult mission of promoting tourism and MICE while protecting this vital water resource, and we are very honored to have been recognized for these efforts. Kumamoto City will continue to strive to be an attractive and eco-friendly destination. In closing, I would like to express once again my gratitude for choosing Kumamoto City for this award. Thank you all for your support.
Great, thank you. Congratulations to Kumamoto, and it's a shame they couldn't be with us today, but they did send somebody to the GDS Awards to Bruges, so that was great that they could be there to receive the award. And overall, great to see the improvement in some of the Japanese destinations and some of the other destinations obviously there as well. So interested to see who will be our most improved for next year. And swiftly moving on, our next award is the Impact Award. And this is now in its second year, actually, and it acknowledges and celebrates a destination, be that the DMO, the CVB, which is really committed to legacy and impact through business events. And this award has been developed in collaboration by the GDS Movement and the Meet for Impact partners. So we're really excited about this to really showcase destinations that take those strides on legacy and impact. This award is also selected by an external panel of industry experts, and thank you to our esteemed judges, which you can see here. So the finalists for 2024 Impact Award are the Copenhagen Convention Bureau with their Copenhagen Legacy Lab program, which they developed. Then it was Visit Flanders with the Impact program that we heard a little bit about, that they presented at the Impact Day. So that's really that comprehensive methodology that they developed, but also Gothenburg in Sweden and their way to legacy. So 3 incredibly strong impact and legacy programs that these destinations have been working on. Probably no surprise, but the winner is Copenhagen's Legacy Lab. So congratulations to Copenhagen's Convention Bureau for really this program you've created to really develop that long-term beneficial impact. And I know you guys have been front runners at this for a long time. And I am delighted that we have Bettina Reventlow here, to the Deputy Convention Bureau Director, to really share with us and tell us a bit more about Copenhagen Legacy Lab, what you've been doing. So Bettina, can I hand over to you? I will stop sharing and then you can share your presentation.
May indeed, and thank you so much again for this wonderful award. I mean, we are absolutely thrilled to win this, and I just want to make sure that you can actually see this. Is that all right, Janie?
Perfect, looks good.
Great, and I'll just minimize the view on you as well. So once again, thank you so much both to the GDS team and to the Meet for Impact team for this wonderful award. And a large kudos also to our co-finalists, not least to every single destination association out there who work with these legacy and long-term impact focused business models. Janie, you were saying at the very beginning of this session how important it is to build these resilient business models, and that's exactly what we were looking at back in 2016 and 17, when sort of battling the same thing as everybody else in destinations of KPIs being very sort of heads on beds focused. And just to sort of briefly, what is this Copenhagen Legacy Lab all about for those who may not have had a chance to have a look at it before? And if I can potentially and hopefully change this one, it's a strategic impact initiative that we've designed to leave long-term positive impact from the congresses that we have. We saw quite a few years ago that there was a slight gap. We were flying people around the world to have meetings in our destination, and we were not necessarily strategically nor systematically capturing the value from these meetings nor creating new values. So I will go through sort of a historical perspective of how we built this up. But today we now have its own secretariat within the Convention Bureau, and we have 2 full-time people and a student working closely with our Congress managers when we're bidding for conferences, but also with our sport event team, all in the same department. Our current budget is 2 million Danish kroner per year. And obviously, we are hoping, after now having been 7 years in existence, that these will grow over time. What the mission of this is really to make sure that the association meetings, whether it being sport events or international congresses that come to our destination, leave these long-term positive impacts on not only our destination, but also society at large. And in addition to that, we wanted, with the framework that we were developing, share it with our friends in the meetings industry and other like-minded communities so that it could be adopted and adapted to each destination and to the associations, and hopefully contribute to driving a movement forward in having more, not only resilient business models, but also more impact-focused business models in the future. And what was really important for us, it was to have a strategic alignment with this, not only in terms of our stakeholders and our national strategic priorities, but also internationally. So currently, the whole framework and the program is aligned with the SDGs, with the GDS strategy. We're a member of GDS and reporting to the index. With the Best Cities strategy, we are part of Best Cities Global Alliance. And we have also tried to contribute to the ICAS, or the International Congress and Convention Associations strategy, where it is one of their strategic pillars moving forward. And when we look at the national strategic priorities, we are now part of the Meet Denmark strategy. Meet Denmark is the national development company, and we work with 3 other Congress-focused destinations, Aalborg, Aarhus, and Odense, in driving this legacy agenda forward. And in addition to that, it sits strategically with many of the strongholds, the intellectual capital that we have in our destination, in our country. And finally, when you talk local priorities, it sits within our city council. They have been with us since 2020 and have invested in our program. And we have also succeeded to get it in our meeting place, so our private stakeholders, our supply chain, the strategy that we operate with in that context. So just a brief fly-in. This was not just to stay in the same terminology as where we started. This was not a pick that easily flew. It was. It has taken quite some time. It's been a true sort of innovation project that has been developed over time and iterated over time. But the foundation of it is very strong. It builds on very heavy research that we did. We had a PhD study on the value of academic events, which was completed in 2020. Together with Meet Denmark, we did 2 reports on what is this long-term positive impact, what could a legacy framework look like, what do associations need, what do destinations need, and where might there be a sweet spot in this where we can develop a new framework and a new program that can enable both parties to work more strategically with this. We've also done a legacy measurement study together with Best Cities and a quite comprehensive 9-case study together with Meet Denmark. You can find all of these on our webpage. The final Meet Denmark study with the 9 cases also give a lot of recommendations on do's and don'ts, and sums up a number of the experiences that we have had throughout this journey. We developed the framework and the toolbox back in 2019 and launched it at the Best Cities Global Forum in Copenhagen with a huge workshop, and implemented all of the tools into the way that we work with congresses throughout 2020. And we also succeeded to find the funding to actually establish the secretariat in 2021. And this, of course, enabled us, now that we got funding both from the municipality, from wonderful Copenhagen, which comes from the Ministry of Business, and also from a number of private stakeholders, to start scaling the entire program and really not only experiment, but to test a number of different cases. Evaluation obviously is ongoing, and iteration will always be ongoing, and we foresee that to happen in the next many years. So if you were to look at just a timeline, just to give you an idea of how long does it really take to not only build a framework like this when it's built on thorough research, but also what has happened throughout the life cycle of Copenhagen Legacy Lab. You can see here the years on where the different sort of elements took place. We actually also won an award in 2021, which was the GDS Innovation Award, and in 2022, which was the IMEX EIC award, and we were incredibly proud of that. And it obviously gives a huge motivation for the entire team working with it and all our collaborators, but it also validates what we are doing in many ways, and it's a validation we can also use to include new types of funding. The most sort of recent development in the program is that Copenhagen Legacy Lab has become its own functional business area within Copenhagen Legacy Lab now, with a new head of Legacy Lab. Our new head of Legacy Lab has a different background than many of us who work in the tourism and business events industry. She's a pharmacist by education, and has a PhD in molecular chemistry. And since many of our congresses are life science, this is a fantastic opportunity for us in the combined teams to address the life science actors and also associations in a different way than we've done before. So the framework, and I will go through this just very briefly, looks like this. This is both for congresses and for sport events, and it really has a before the event, a during the event, and an after the event. And really what's very important is to make sure that you have thorough research, that you make sure you qualify the right congresses that you work with, because otherwise it becomes really difficult to drive long term. There needs to be this strategic alignment. It could be with looking at the association's vision and mission, and also the national strategic priorities, and pairing them and finding a sweet spot in which we can start defining objectives, involve stakeholders, and develop those activities that typically would take place during the Congress, but not necessarily so. And what's really important in this phase as well is to make sure that you have the right evaluation design. How are you going to measure that, and can you even measure it? And accept the fact also that there are things we can't measure, particularly when it becomes more long-term. The activities sort of speak for themselves, but after the event, the outputs, outcome, and impact, that's really where the evaluation sits. And the design that I was mentioning is absolutely paramount in making sure that we can set up the right KPIs. We differentiate, and we do that because the framework is built on not only theory of change, but also the Eagle Commission framework for impact, We have the immediate output, which is sort of how many people saw this or participated in an activity, or how many read something in the media. And then you have the outcomes, which means for all of those numbers that we have from the outputs, how many then change behavior, or what kind of improved performance was it? And when we're talking long-term impact, it's more, how did that change behavior or improve performance actually benefit society? Just a couple of very brief examples of it, and all our cases are available on our website, and there's a QR code at the end of this presentation. But to just show you not only what type of case it could be, but also to say, and that's an important element in this, the cases differ enormously. The challenges that we're trying to address and the subsequent activities that we design to address these challenges differ greatly. And it's important to say that it's not necessarily a matter of creating an awful lot of activities. It could also be one activity that you do really well, and that you hopefully have the capacity and the resources to measure long term as well. UIA was the Union of International Architects. We were addressing the fact that the built environment is responsible for about 40% of the annual global CO2 emissions. And in that, and very, very closely linked to the UN SDGs and embedded in the entire Congress program, which was called Sustainable Futures Leave No One Behind, we developed the Copenhagen Lessons, which are 10 principles for how the built environment can reduce the CO2 footprint of their sector. And this was presented at the Congress. It's also been distributed internationally. It's now a part of our municipalities' policy on how to build new or how to renovate existing buildings. And it's being translated into a number of different languages. So this is an example of trying to create not necessarily a movement, but a better practice within an entire industry, not only in our own country, but also internationally. And if you look at the other case, which is the Vanifra World News Media, this was all about, the big challenge is that young people today, there's a huge news avoidance. They don't read the news, or they're not necessarily particularly critical around the news that they read, depending on what channels that they come from. So we got 80 young people and a number of media experts gathered at our international school in Helsinki for a whole day in a workshop on defining what could new principles look like for the media industry international. So they came up with Copenhagen criteria. And this was presented at the Congress as well, and distributed to 250 plus editors and journalists international. So these are big cases. These are cases where it's really transformative for an industry, but we also have a number of cases where it's smaller things, it's smaller gaps that are being identified. It could be anything from better treatment in healthcare, addressing a gap where there's a lack of talent, or addressing a gap where there's a lack of patient in clinical trials, and so on. What we do, if I'm to go back to the framework itself and the program, communication around Copenhagen Legacy Lab, what we've done, and which may be quite unique, we chose very early on to just hand out everything that we've done, all our reports, all our research, all our tools, folders, testimonials, and videos on our own website, making it an open source platform. It is really our heartfelt desire that this is not something that we should do alone. This is something we should all be doing, not only now, but this is a long-term vision for us as well. And we have communicated extensively on our own LinkedIn channels. Many of the cases that we've been doing so far have communicated on their LinkedIn channels. We are in continuous contact with academic channels, such as the International Journal for Business Events Legacies. And there's been multiple interviews by media, not only our own media in Denmark, but certainly also the meetings industry media. We've done a number of workshops with associations and destinations to share the model and how we work with and discuss how it could be adaptable within their own settings. And then for the last 5 years, we've been frequent speakers in a number of different platforms within our industry, but also outside of our own sector. And obviously, we hope that many destinations, particularly, we see that it's driven very much by destinations still. We hope that education and inspiration is driving this movement forward. And there are so many great actors that are really picking this up, and I'm really thankful to all who are helping us and GDS and Meet for Impact and many of the other actors in this game, including the Iceberg platform, which collects a number of these cases to make sure that we see this transformation in our industry. The impact so far, and this is only a very small bit of it, is we have changed our business models. We've gotten new KPIs. We've won more business because we can now offer legacy frameworks for the congresses that come here. We've done 15 cases so far, each with wonderful outputs and outcomes and impacts. They are listed there on the side. But almost most importantly, it's embedded in every single strategy that we have. Our meeting place strategy, which is with our local supply chain, our wonderful Copenhagen strategy, and nationally with our Meet Denmark strategy. So clearly we've hit a nerve in the industry, and maybe the timing was also good. But it has been adopted and adapted within all of these units, and it gives it a robustness, which is incredibly important when you want an innovation project to actually become a part of your business model long term. And it also gives us a whole new sustainability dimension. So we work really closely with the sustainability team, because legacy and impact activities are not only about CO2 and it's not only about sort of business transformation, but it's also about societal transformation and long-term societal benefits. And then last but not least, but we obviously hope that this is that we have been able to inspire and to contribute to the movement that is taking place around the world in our sector. If you want to know more about Legacy Lab, about the framework and the tools, there is a QR code here, and you're also very welcome, of course, to reach out to me or to the Copenhagen Legacy Lab team that we have in Copenhagen Convention Bureau. So once again, thank you very much. We are incredibly proud of this award, and I will now pass the word on to you, Janie, again.
Oh, congratulations again. It's so absolutely well deserved for all the work. And it's amazing to see, because we've definitely seen through the index, and since we've introduced the impact and legacy criteria, that more and more destinations are picking this up. But you know, you've been working on this for 4 or 5 years and invested a lot of time, money, effort, and it's so great to see where you've taken this. And you are definitely a great example to, I think, many destinations, and it's wonderful that you're so open to sharing and kind of what works. And it's interesting, like, I think, like you said, what works, you know, it's always different for every event, and the challenges are different and what you can achieve, but it's so great, the framework and the evaluation that you've put in place. So things that people can learn from, and like you said, other destinations like Flanders, like Gothenburg, and others are also doing some great work. So good to see. So thank you so much again for sharing that, and congratulations to you and the team. Well done.
Thank you so much, team. Thank you.
If you're okay to stay, we will have a bit of a chance for questions at the end. So if any of you have questions for Bettina, for the impact and legacy work specifically, stick them in the chat, and we can come to that a little bit later. But now back to the awards. And we have, last but not least, our Leadership Award for the GDS-Index 2024. And that goes to the destination scoring the highest on this year's index ranking, really demonstrating its commitment and vision and actions and things, kind of making them measurable and providing all the evidence. But it's always so tight. So the finalists, essentially, I mean, we know who the winners, but the finalists are, you know, like the top 5 destinations and the top 10, and it's so close. So I really want to take this moment to congratulate everybody, because it takes a fair amount of work and there's really not much in it if you look at it. But the winner is Helsinki, and really well deserved. And as much as saying there's not much in it, I do want to, you know, we congratulate Helsinki for this achievement. And they've really, over the years, you know, jumped from being in the top 20 to being in the top 10 to being number 1, and that is quite an achievement in the few years that they've been participating, you know, and most recently in the index. So really great to see, and well done, Helsinki. And yes, shaking things up at the top in the index this year. So grand to see some new faces, and we will be hearing from Jukka, who leads on this index and the sustainability piece for Helsinki, and he has prepared a presentation for us to share a little bit about what, again, Helsinki is doing, what they have been doing over the last few years to get to the spot they're at. So let's see what Jukka has to share with us today.
Hello everyone, my name is Jukka Punamäki. I work for the city of Helsinki. I'm in charge of sustainable tourism development at the Tourism and Destination Management Unit. So for the next 10 minutes or so, I will shortly explain about some of the initiatives that we have been doing for sustainable tourism. Obviously, we have our Helsinki Tourism and Events Program, which is the strategy for our tourism development. And over there, sustainability issues have received quite a big position. It's the number B section of the whole strategy. Helsinki is an international pioneer and provider of solutions in sustainable tourism and events. I have gathered all our strategies, programs, and action plans for sustainable tourism development into one document. It also includes all analysis for sustainable tourism in Helsinki, and also different kinds of guides that we have. Altogether, it is 1,200 pages long document. It's actually so big that our IT department is unable to upload it to the internet for you to see. So as you can see, there is loads and loads and loads of action plans, and this is actually one reason is that GDS is pushing us to plan everything, which is of course a really good thing. For me, being the developer for sustainable tourism in Helsinki, it's easy to be in charge of it because Finland in general is doing a really good job on these issues. Finland is number 1 in the SDG ranking. Finland has been the happiest country in the world 7 years in a row. Helsinki as a city is doing a really amazing job when it comes to carbon neutrality. A study released in August says that we are going to reach our carbon neutrality goal by 2030. In accessibility issues, we are really good. We received a second place award from the European Commission in the Accessibility Awards 2 years ago. And we also got bronze in the European Capitals of Inclusion and Diversity Awards in 2023. And of course, we have been working within tourism already on these issues for years. We got the European Capital of Smart Tourism Award back in 2019 as the first city, together with Lyon. So we have a really solid base for this. So, going forward with the tourism program, the B1, environmental sustainability and carbon neutrality at the forefront of development. We have, of course, signed the Glasgow Declaration, and I hope everybody here has as well. We have a climate action plan for tourism. We have calculated roughly the emissions from tourism in Helsinki. We are developing this model further next year. We have a tool for our tourism companies for them to calculate their emissions. It is done by Visit Finland together with Helsinki. And also we have a tool for the events to calculate their emissions. The section B2 is about social sustainability. Citizen engagement is, of course, important for us, just like everybody else. We do a citizen sentiment survey every 2 years. We gather development ideas from the locals, and we try to communicate with the locals as much as possible. At the moment, the locals see tourism as really positive phenomenon. We are working with tourism inclusivity issues as well, or day issues. And we have completely own strategy for this. B3, Helsinki is a world leader in sustainability, verified by indices and certifications. This is, of course, really important now that European Union is creating the Green Claims Directive and the directive before that already. So it is really important that we can prove the sustainability claims that we are saying. The most important tool for this is our National Sustainable Travel Finland program. It is directed for our tourism companies, but also for the tourism destinations in Finland. We have a really good tool for that, where we can see how many tourism companies have joined the program, how many companies have received the Sustainable Travel Finland label, and what are they doing within the program. So this is really, really important tool for me as sustainable tourism developer in Helsinki. We are also part of the Green Destinations GSTC certification program. We are under the audit at the moment. It seems that we are going to receive the Platinum Award this autumn for it, but it's not final yet. But as we are requiring the certification from our tourism companies, we felt that we need to certify ourselves as well. Practice as you preach, or something like that. The Green Destinations is really vast certification. It is based on the GSTC standard. We wanted to have the best standard and the most rigorous standard for the certification, but it turned out that it's humongous. And the report for Green Destinations is 119 pages long. And then, of course, the GDS index, which has been our guiding light since the beginning of the index in 2016. We have been part of it all the way. And our progress in the score has been really solid for the past few years. And now we have reached the score of 92.43. Quite obviously, we are not that high in real life in sustainability. We are still really unsustainable, but the score says this. Collaboration for our sustainable tourism development is crucial. We are working, of course, really closely with our tourism companies. We have just released a guide for anybody who works within tourism industry to make sure that everybody talks about the sustainability issues in similar ways, and that all the waitresses or waiters or receptionists or whoever, so that they would all know all the relevant issues about sustainability in their own companies, but also on a city level. We have also, of course, done a guide for our visitors on how to visit Helsinki in a sustainable manner. We are working really closely together with other municipalities around Helsinki. We actually have now carbon neutral experience program going on with these cities. We are applying for European Union money around the Baltic Sea for carbon neutral destinations project. And then there are several other international collaborations, smart tourism destinations, Eurocities, City DNA, and so forth. Then lastly, I'm just going to quickly show you something that we are doing with data management. We have our own data platform for tourism, which has all the tourism related data gathered into one platform. It has over 400 data points, so it's very, very large, but it also has the sustainability issues over there. These are the KPIs for the whole program. We have the overnights and well, you know all the basic tourism numbers. But then for sustainability issues, for example, we have the carbon footprint of Helsinki in the data platform. We have carbon footprint from the Visit Finland that is calculated in a bit different way. So we can look at the spending versus carbon footprint. We can look at the different profiles of visitors compared to carbon footprint. We are looking at the average length of stay. We have the Helsinki resident sentiment in the same platform. We are looking at how many accessible products do we have on our website. Also, how many LGBTQ products do we have on our website. We are following the number of cruises and the amount of passengers, of course, on a social aspect. We are following our Sustainable Travel Finland program numbers in the same platform, and of course the GDS index. So this in very short what we have been doing. This was only a glimpse of the things on a high level, but yeah, it's a long journey, lots of work, and I'm happy to work with GDS and with all of you guys. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to Jukka there for recording that. He will be in tomorrow's session as well, presenting live, but unfortunately he couldn't make it today. I promise you, if anybody was not at the forum, he did crack a massive smile. So he can smile. He did crack a massive smile and was extremely excited, not very Finnish, about achieving the #1 spot. And it's great to see all the work that they've been doing. And even when I was at Visit Scotland previously, I was really inspired also by the work. So Helsinki's doing a lot, but behind the scenes, and you could kind of hear it through, there's a lot happening from Visit Finland that Visit Finland is doing to put a lot of these things in place, whether that's the certification, the measurement piece, and Helsinki has really taken a lot of that, what's happening in Finland, and taking it and implementing it and taking it kind of to the next level and working hard at it. So yes, and Jukka has more information to share about all the hundreds and hundreds of answers that he has to, questions he has to answer for all this certification. But it's really great to see, you know, kind of the progress that they're making and just some of the things that they can or are measuring and looking to implement. So so overall, again, just to wrap up the awards thing, congratulations again to all of our 2024 GDS Index Award winners, Helsinki, Kumamoto, wonderful Copenhagen, and Copenhagen Convention Bureau. So again, well done to all of our winners. So just before we wrap up, we really wanted to cover an important thing, especially for all of you on the call today who have been taking part in the GDS Index. So this is an exciting time. Everybody has their results. and we can all talk about it. Because your GDS index participation means something, right? And it can mean that you can be transparent about what you're doing. You know, your submission has been checked by GDS, by sustainability professionals. You know, it's a sound methodology, you've provided evidence, so you can say something. And it's important that, you know, you are part of kind of an elite and growing group of destinations that are investing in their sustainability and being accurate and credible and comparing against each other. So all that data that you've collected, you can really use to tell stories as well, to kind of bring out some of the stories of what's happening in your destination. So all of that work, really use that in your storytelling. So what does it mean to be in the GDS index, and share some of that information. And all of you will have had some information from Jess and our comms team and Anya on how best to share those stories. So wherever you are in the world and in the index, be it the top 10 or 40 or not, you've got something to say and to share about your participation, because just by participating, you're showing that you're investing in sustainability in your destination, right? And by doing it over and over again, you're showing commitment to making a difference, to improving, to collaborating with partners in the destination. And if you're in the top 40, then you're amongst the best destination in the index. And this is a point that we do kind of want to potentially labor, but it's important that you are one of the top destinations in the GDS index, because unfortunately, we're not measuring every single destination in the world yet. So we need to be careful about what we communicate and how we communicate about that, but don't diminish the achievement that you're in the top 40 in the GDS index, because there's a lot of destinations that are doing a lot of great work, and everybody deserves to be there. So just be clear about what that means. And we appreciate that sometimes it's hard in the excitement of wanting to communicate what you've achieved, and a very excitable PR person to kind of make sure that the headlines are accurate. And especially, I think that we've seen some of those headlines on social media and LinkedIn, and some of the reactions to it. And I think it's important people are more and more aware of potential greenwashing, and we don't want any of our destinations to be accused of that, because you've worked very hard for where you're at and have done lots of great things that you can tell good stories about. So we just need to make sure we're, you know, transparent and clear about where we're all at. And if you're a GDS award winner, you are very much a leader in your category, right? So lots of fabulous actions and happening that we can all talk about. Our website, you also have an opportunity if you kind of want to drill down and say, well, what can I say about my achievement? And so I'm in the top 40, but can I also be in the top 3 destinations participating in the index in the environmental performance category in Asia Pacific? You can get very particular specific about this. So the website allows you to kind of drill down into some of those results. You can also see if you're amongst the most improved in the ranking in certain areas in your region, in certain categories. So there's quite a lot of information you can draw out of our website that you can, you know, use in your comms and in the statistics. Some of you might have had your performance improvement report meeting, but for many of you, it is coming up over the month of November and some early December. So that's obviously where your relationship manager and your assessor takes you through your results specifically. So this is like a treasure trove of more stories that you can communicate on and really highlights where you've grown and your achievements and other things that are worth talking about. So do use that as well. So again, I would encourage every destination to talk about your achievement. You know, even if you're not in the top 40, what you're doing is great, and you have shown, you know, that commitment to, as a destination, being more sustainable and making progress. So do communicate on that, and, you know, double check any communication that's already happened for you on the for your destination to make sure it's the most transparent and accurate that it can be, and really showcases what you're doing. Great. I actually think we have plenty of time for questions. So if there are any questions in the chat, or if anybody has any questions right now, If Guy or Jess or anybody wants to comment on any of the things said, please feel free to do so. Just see if I can see the chat.
I just wanted to pull up that Jess has been sharing some nice little tips and tricks about communicating in terms of we had a feel the pulse about destination storytelling in September, and there were some great slides and tips. So she's added a list there. There's also a kind of media kit for destinations to help you communicate. So have a look at that if you're part of the destinations who are participating. If you're not, still click on that and let you know some top tips and some tricks. I guess I just wanted to just, you know, high five to Bettina and to Jukka and to, well, I wouldn't say Bettina, but to the rest of the WOCO team as well for a great job. Yeah, it's quite inspiring. And I'm just looking at Jukka and Helsinki. Some of you won't know this, but Bettina does because she was there. But one of the reasons we started the index is that there was this amazing perception that Scandinavia was doing really well in 2010. But we actually knew that many of the cities weren't doing very well. And Helsinki was the one that was doing probably one of the poorest out of compared to the other cities. And to see their journey from 2010 to today is mind-blowing. That level, that dashboard they showed. So, and I love Jukka in his own direct, straight way. He's saying, the scoring's not right. The index is saying, how can they be 93%? Is that 93% close to perfection? No, it's not. So he's raising some good points that makes us going to think for the future and how we look at these things. And I have to say, if anyone was at his presentation in Bruges, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I'm ashamed we didn't record that because it was like, Jukka is actually a stand-up comedian, which you would never got from just watching this. So we have to see if we can find that recording. It was brilliant. But I do think you made some good points about transparency. We do all need to up our games, how we communicate, how we tell the stories. We've got pending legislation happening, starting in the EU that will go through to Australia and the UK and Canada, and I'm sure it will go to other parts of the world in the future too. So we're going to be kept to account for our communications, and yeah, we've got to get better at it. So I think that's an interesting thing for us all to think about in the future too. So yeah, there was a question earlier I just saw that we didn't really get around to answering.
Yes, I just shared it. It was from Sarah about today.
Sarah was asking questions.
Yes, I don't know this off the top of my head, so Bettina, not to put you on the spot, just in case you know about Copenhagen, whether the businesses that kind of participated, the 26 partners, and we're kind of offering the free kayaking rides if you picked some litter, whether they did that out of their own pockets or whether there is a kind of subsidy to cover the costs, or whether it was like, well, it gives you more exposure and more visitors. So inherently that it kind of was more of a in-kind support for the businesses, if you know.
I mean, for sure, they get more exposure and more visitors, or at least perhaps sometimes some visitors they didn't expect. What the exact business model and in terms of covering the cost, I would expect, but I would have to check up, and I'm very happy to get back to you, that they would cover the cost themselves, or at least a majority of it. But I would be very happy to just check up on exactly what is that conversion rate. In terms, it could also be that they get the sort of basic cost covered, and then they cover the rest.
Some of the activities did have a small fee, so I'm sure that it was covered by the companies themselves. The kayak has always been free if you collect waste, so I think they have subsidy from somebody. From some funding, alternate funding, that they get because there's a lot of visibility on that. So I think it was a matter of collecting, and then, as Bettina is saying, you know, highlighting it and the amount of visitors that they've actually got also helped.
Yeah, I think I also remember from one of the presentations that it wasn't that the number could be capped, so that a business says we're offering so many free vegetarian lunches, 20 a day or 50 a day or whatever. So on the app you could see what was still available where as a visitor. So yeah, I guess it was a pilot, so I don't think the businesses got any money, but they could kind of control how much they were giving, and probably saw it as a great opportunity for exposure, although they probably had no idea what kind of wonderful opportunity for exposure it would be. So
that's for sure. And also, I mean, if you're working in an urban garden, I mean, you're actually, there's a trade-off there as well. So and judging from the enormous interest we have, not only from those attractions who were part of the program, but also new ones who want to join, then everybody's been very happy to give in kind and also to cover some fees on some of the activities.
Great.
Another question just came in from Vikas. Thank you, Vikas, for a good question. And it's a good one. You know, why aren't there more Asia Pacific, African destinations? I've just got back from Dubai, actually, where Dubai and Abu Dhabi are joining the GDS Index, which is great. I foresee a big Middle East shift happening there. And it was good, actually, Bettina, you were mentioned multiple times as inspiration for Dubai stepping up and planning their impact and legacy strategy. So you've definitely inspired them to step up, and they're actually going to have an impact manager from the 1st of December. So well done, yeah, for doing that. But I think coming back to the question is, yeah, we need more. I think we got a bit of a challenge here that many places in Asia, particularly, are concerned about joining an index and not performing very high. So we have to kind of think through that. So we have some suggestions that we're working through with ATTAC on the Technical Advisory Committee of how this could work in the future. We've got to lower the bar for some destinations to start. We've got Alejandra here from Mexico. We've got the same in South America. So we need to come up with another approach to get some of the starting destinations up. So we've been brainstorming that, and again, as I said, we're working through with a kind of committee of about 20 destinations, I think, helping us think through that. And we've got to come up with a solution, because there's too many destinations now who haven't started, who aren't going forward, and we've got to get them off the blocks. And that's kind of our mission, right? To help people on that journey as we've done for hundreds of other destinations. So that's a good opportunity, a good challenge.
Great, thank you.
Because you're more than welcome to start knocking on doors in India for us.
Excellent. I'm conscious of time, so please do put any other questions or thoughts that you had in the chat. But I also quickly, before we go, wanted to remind everybody it was great to hear from Bettina today, and also about Copenhagen. But we really wanted to share all the other finalists had some great projects and stories to tell. So we will be running further Feeling the Pulse webinars to really showcase the finalists and the winners. So in around the middle of November, we will be focusing on the Impact Award. And then in early December, we will have another session focusing on the Innovation Award, which will be Copenhagen and the other finalists in that space. We also want to thank our partners, obviously, which is City Destination Alliance, MCI, IMAX, and Jukka, who kind of help us launch that dream of that destination sustainability index a while back. And you know, it's still great to work with them and continue to develop the index and support and work with all of the destinations. So
and adding to that list also to Meet for Impact, who's become a really key part of the team in the last few years working on the impact stuff. So it's I think I saw Jen or someone from the team on the list earlier as well. So thank you to you guys too.
Definitely. Great. Thank you very much to everybody for your time today. I hope that was useful, exciting. It's always great to hear from everybody and see you guys. And so yes, thank you to all the participating destinations for all your hard work. And I hope you have a wonderful evening or rest of the day, wherever you are. And see you soon.